Hi, I'm Ben Pindar, I'm the PR account manager at Red Stag Media, and in this week's Agri Marketing Mastery video we thought we'd look at how to plan a successful event for your agribusiness or for whatever purpose you're aiming to do. Now, for context, I've planned hundreds of events over the years, and that's ranged from small business roundtable debates through to big breakfast panel debates and massive black tie award ceremonies that attracted up to about 1,200 people. I've organised a couple of festivals and even a few Christmas fairs even and things like that. So I've got quite a lot of experience of providing lots of different events, and I'm aware of the pitfalls and those things that really do make an event a big success and make it sing. So what we do is we thought we'd share some of those keen insights into how to deliver a successful event and what you need to be doing to make sure you get the most out of it as well. And with a little bit more context, I thought it was quite interesting that there's been quite a bit in the agricultural media of late about how some agri events are starting to struggle a little bit post-pandemic. Those that had quite a strong following before seem to be struggling to pick it back up again. So hopefully there's something in this that'll like for some keen insights into how you can buck that trend and start to build some new events and deliver exactly what you need. So the first thing to consider is begin early, and this is hugely important. Events take a lot of time and energy to plan. I used to say when we were planning the business events as part of a large business media group is that it was a minimum of 8 weeks to organise an event, and that was the smaller ones. The general rule of thumb is the larger the event, the more time you need to plan it. But make sure you've got a minimum of 8 weeks realistically. Anything shorter than that and you're going to be playing catch up all the way through, and you're probably going to struggle to get the attendees you need, and you're going to miss the things you actually need to get from it. The next thing, and definitely the most important, which is why it's all big flashing red to try and make that clear, is the purpose. And this is twofold really. This is about, one, what do you need to get from this? So have some very clear goals and objectives about what the event's about and what it's going to do for you, whether that's promoting your brand or your organisation, trying to get some keen insights, trying to get people to understand and engage with a new product or a new concept or service you're doing. But have some clear objectives and make sure, whether even if it's down to I need 100 people to like my LinkedIn page, it probably needs to be bigger than that, but have some very clear singular objectives from this event. The other aspect of that purpose is, what is it going to give to people who are attending? You know, if they're coming along, what are they going to get from it? And again, have a very clear idea and proposal. It's almost like that sales message. You know, if I'm going to come to your event, this is what I'm going to expect to get from it. And again, that's going to probably be some really valuable insights, ways they're going to be able to operate on their farm or in the business more efficiently, more effectively. It could be the latest thinking, hearing from a range of experts who've done it before, but making sure it's got a really strong value proposition for those who are coming to attend. Next thing is budget. And as you can see, there's a long list of things I've just started to list there, which are just some of those considerations you need to think about when it comes to budget. But events are expensive, no matter which way you look at it, regardless of the size, there is a price to them. So things like venue, catering, the PA system, if you're going to need some software for people to have an app to engage with the event, or it might be a way for exhibitors to collect information from attendees. Insurance, marketing, you're obviously going to have to spend a lot of money on marketing. Contingencies is another thing to factor in. I think the group I used to work with, we used to factor in on about a 20% contingency fund just in case something goes wrong. So bear that in mind. There could be last minute hiccups or things that have been missed, or it could be someone can't turn up, or there's a natural disaster or a pandemic, obviously. So you need those contingencies built in. The one I've not mentioned in that list is speakers. Now, depending on the size of your event, speakers are really powerful. If you've got a large event, you need a professional speaker. They can make or break an event. And I've worked with some absolutely incredible speakers, ones that I didn't necessarily expect to be amazing and were probably the best. And Giles Brandis, a great example of that, one of the best hosts and speakers I've ever worked with. But what you've got to remember is, if you're booking a speaker to host the event or someone who's going to be a headliner, they don't come cheap. I mean, even an average, I suppose average is a harsh term, but an average celebrity host, someone who can steer the event, keep control of the crowd, keep it moving, keep some anecdotes coming through to keep everyone engaged and buoyed up, you're probably looking at about $5,000 at the bare minimum. You know, for the big names, you're going to be paying sort of 20, 25. So bear that in mind when you're planning the budget. The next one, and again, this probably sits not far behind in importance to the purpose, is knowing your audience. You've thought about what the purpose of the event is and what your audience are going to get out of it. But you need to know exactly who that audience is, because if you know what the demographic is, you know exactly how you're going to appeal to them, what's going to be the best way to actually get in touch with them, let them know about the event and get through to it. So really understand who's going to be attending this event, what drives them, what motivates them, what social media platforms are going to be consuming, how's the most effective way to get out to them. So when it comes to marketing, you know exactly who it is, where they are, and what you need to say to them to get them to that event. Next, location. Fairly sensible one, but think very carefully about location. And it's not just about what's convenient for you. It's, again, you know your audience demographic now, so think about what location suits them best. If it's primarily agribusiness focused and you've got organisations dotted all over the country, think about somewhere central but with some really good public transport links, but make sure it's got some parking as well, because the likelihood is they're going to come in on the train or something like that and look for some accommodation nearby. But if it's a beef event, you might be looking somewhere a bit more rural, up to the northwest of the country, and think about how you're going to accommodate all of those cars coming in for different locations. And again, look at the large arable events that go down in Essex and East Anglia, where they're on huge sites where you've got lots of room to get the big bits of kit in and lots of place for everyone to park. So think very carefully about the location, how that's going to suit your audience and how you're going to actually deliver it. But again, keep going back to that budget as well, because the venue is going to be a significant cost, and understanding how you're going to do that. Next, and it's a pretty straightforward one, is this: have a very strong event plan, and that should hopefully come naturally to you, but have absolutely every aspect of this event mapped out, from the agenda, how it's going to be delivered, where speakers need to be, what staff you need to make it happen, where catering's going to go, where have you got enough toilets. Every last detail needs to be considered, and that even goes down to things like insurance. There's all sorts of paperwork you've usually got to fill in for the council as well, from disclaimers through to road closures and things like that. So think very carefully about all of those details, and with that event plan, start to build a team around you that has got very clearly defined roles within that event plan as well, so you know exactly who's doing what, who's going to be responsible. And on the day itself, make sure you've got someone who's in charge of it all, knows who's doing what and where they need to be at the right time. And as part of that event plan, and this is, you can say this about every aspect of marketing, but have a very strong brand. You need something that's going to make you stand out from the rest. And inevitably there's going to be events of a similar ilk, but make sure you've got something that's clear, unique, is really going to grab people's attention. And a lot of that's going to come down to not only the visual aspect and the name of it, but thinking about the digital aspect as well. You know, my colleague Rob will talk a lot about finding the best ways to promote yourself through digital channels, but a lot of that's going to come down to having a clear brand that stands apart from something else. So make sure there isn't already a phrase that's going to dominate you in the search rankings, for example. So have that strong brand, give people a reason to recognise it, understand it, engage with it, and you know your audience again at the purpose they're going to, so keep drawing back to those. So next up is the marketing, and obviously this is where we're obviously keenest to support, but with marketing, this is really about how are you going to get people to attend and engage with them when they're on there on the day, and then obviously stay in touch with them and build those relationships beyond it as well. But think very carefully about the marketing, give it a budget and have a very clear plan. And you've got to think about things like the pre-launch stuff. You know, there's a big event coming, it's going to be for these people and it's going to do this. So get involved, start bringing in early bird offers if you're going to be selling tickets to help fund it, or just to get people signed up and registered. Release details about your headline speaker, who's that going to be. Then there's more opportunities to get content out there as you reveal more details about it. So it might be other speakers, other attractions, other aspects of the event. Get to the last call as you're coming up to the event and really trying to drive people in and bring them forward to it. And then think about how you're going to follow up on the event as well, and for that matter, cover, you know, providing that promotion while the event's going on. Another part of this is, with the marketing, we've talked a lot about really this being a physical event, but think about the digital aspect as well. You know, if you're going to be putting on a great event that's got this fantastic purpose for a key audience, do they also want to be able to access it in a digital way? Can you promote it digitally, show live sessions, can people join in a webinar capacity? So think about that engagement across all levels. The next one is your sponsorship and partners. Now, these are probably going to be integral to the success of an event. See, what you're looking for are sponsors and partners who have very similar objectives to what the event's trying to do. It doesn't have to be identical, but they want to speak to these people essentially. So think about what they can do in. And then also, not only are you taking the money off them, but how can you leverage their networks as well? So you're pushing like mad to fill the event through your own channels, start to use your sponsors and partners channels to actually get their audiences engaged and get them involved as well. And it helped to boost your attendance at your event, but also adds a lot more depth and value to it, because they're also going to be able to bring a different dimension to the event, some different speakers, some different ideas and some different concepts. So identify the most suitable ones, make sure they get lots of benefits as well by being able to participate and invite their own engaged audiences, and make sure you work together to really bring something together. And I suppose finally, the event's up and running. As I've said, you're going to be doing lots of promo through it, making sure you've got some partners involved, you've got the media there, you've got some really good digital and social media engagement going on. But while the event's going on, it's about capturing that info as well. And this goes back to the purpose, those original objectives. You know, think about, what is it you wanted to get from this? Was it more people on an email list? Was it people buying more of a product? Whatever the objective was, make sure you're capturing it throughout that event, and the chances are your sponsors and partners and exhibitors are going to be wanting to do the same. So create those channels to capture as much data and information as you possibly can to make sure you're getting the maximum value out of that event. And then finally, follow up as well. You know, you've done all of this, you've got a great event, it's been a huge success. Don't just stop there, you know. Find, you know, some of the highlights from it. You'll have captured all of this information through the marketing, through the sponsors, through the partners, everything. So then share it with those attendees. You know, you've got a big database now of everyone who's attended, those that have shared their info at the event as well. Share the highlights with them and finish with that final call to action. And as again, going back to the big red flash, make sure that follow-up fulfills that purpose. So whatever you set out to do, that will finalise the journey. Hopefully that you found that helpful. It's a very quick canter through events, which is a big subject to tackle. And if you've got any questions, then just let me know. And if you want us to tackle something else in a future Agri Marketing Mastery video, I'll see you soon. Thank you.